Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this Chaos Zero Nightmare video. So for today's Chaos Zero Nightmare video, we're going to talk about the updated Zero System Farming Guide version Narja. So we're going to talk about the better system to choose for Narja in terms of the map selection, as well as the general farming pattern and also the equipments to look out for. So first of all, for the Zero System, there are two massive updates. One, the average save data value you're able to generate, they are much higher. So you can see that we have a lot of tier 13s and tier 14s are also pretty common. So generally decks can be a bit thicker with a higher save data value. And when you combine that with the really good card removal system for most of the worlds, decks actually will be much easier to farm, especially if you're running Narja as a support, because Narja has a lot of unique cards. So that's with regards to the strengths of Narja. And then Lab 0 is also generatable in the Zero System. So whatever mechanics in Season 1, like all the season cards, like your third boss fight, they're all inside Lab 0 as well. So that's with regards to the updates to the Zero System. So out of all the Zero Systems to farm, personally, I think most of the worlds are good for Narja in one way or another, which I'll break down in a little bit. But Blue Pot is a world which I don't recommend you to farm in. So first of all, there isn't many exclusive equipments in Blue Pot which you want on Narja. Like all these are good, but they're not specifically good for Narja, nor for most of Narja's partners. So that's number one. So this world is not that good. And secondly, the boss fight here, I think, is a little bit challenging for most teams. And Narja teams specifically, I think in most cases is very combo centric. So you can obviously stuff the deck with some voids to reduce that capability of the boss. But then if you're deck building, then having that void actually sort of increases the chance of the duplication of your desired card missing. So this is where I think if you can, this world is one world which I won't go to farm for Narja's deck or even Narja's partners in general. So that's for Blue Pot, okay? The other maps, I think in general, they have some strengths which you can farm in. But personally, my favorites would be Swamp of Judgment as well as City of Mist. So Forto Ruin is also really good equipment-wise. Twin Star Shadow has some equipments which Narja can go for, which we'll talk about. So let's move on to the equipment side, okay? So for this part, we're going to go to E7 board right here. So the equipments, I think generally for the unique side, most Cthulhu weapons, they are really good. Or most Cthulhu equipments, they are really good for her because the armors have a lot of plus defense percentage. So more defense on Narja, more heals, more survival, or more damage. And we have Tentacles of Chaos, which is amazing for a support to buff up the allies' attack. And then Intellect of Discord over here, even though it's a more attack-centric card, but it's also able to benefit the DPS side of Narja. So if you're building a DPS Narja, the additional attack does help with a little bit of damage boosting. And then Spirit of Randomness in general gives you more HP with AP and draw at the start of battle, which is good for combo-based Narja. So that's with regards to the better equipment for farming, okay? And then if you do not get all these Cthulhu equipments, the other really good equipments to farm, number one, Verdant Shackles. So this one is obtainable from Swamp of Judgment. So the green color map that we showcased earlier. So this card, let me go back into the maps, right? So we'll run through each individual maps and talk about some of the exclusive equipments which are good for Narja. So this map has some of the best defensive boost equipment, specifically your Shackles, right? Verdant Shackles right here, 12% defense, 12% attack. And then we also have this exclusive Verdant Day and Verdant Night, which is easily achievable. So this gives you the additional attack or defense buff. Personally, I like Verdant Day better because on odd turns, so 1, 3, 5, you get 8% attack as well as 12% defense, which is pretty good, especially if you're doing a one-turn queue for Narja. So this few accessories is insanely good on this map. And then on top of that, if you take a look at other accessories, Golden Rule also boosts up the damage amounts, which can help with the defensive damage carry portion for Narja. So that's for the Golden Rule side. Other than that, a lot of the other equipments are really good defensively. So in case you are building Narja to be a defensive support, all these equipments are pretty usable for her. Even the weapon, Branch of Eternity, as well as the downgraded version, right, Branch of Evil 3 right here, allows you to get additional damage off whenever you heal or recover. So yeah, Narja's a healer. All this additional damage from heal or recover will be able to trigger this effect. So that's why this is one of the better maps to farm in general, because you can go the DPS build with the Crit Chance Fairy Queen's Crown, with all the DPS equipments. You can go for the more support-based ones, such as the Clover of Forest, which gives you the boost when you recover, or even with your 3 branches over here. So this map probably the best for Narja in terms of the versatility side. So this map also has quite a few card conversions with removal, which will help you, get to your desired deck easily as well. So one of the best maps, Swamp of Judgment. And then for the City of Mist, some of the City of Mist equipments are really good on Narja, specifically Contaminated Helmet with the 6% HP boost as well as defense boost right here. So this is one of the rarer events in City of Mist. Let me just run through the events right here. So this event comes, this one comes from this event, City of Mist, comes from, let me just say, this one. You need Void Bottle Rare. So for this one, it gives you the ability to get Contaminated Helmet right here. So this, if you encounter these 2 soldiers, right, the rare event or the one with the contamination on their helmet is the one you want to go for to hunt for that specific equipment. So for the Twin Star Shadow side, for the Swamp of Judgment side, for the Verdant Day and Verdant Shadow, this Fairy Lady over here, Forest Arts event, allows you to go for card removal or, the access to Verdant Shackles or Verdant Day or Verdant Night. So these are pretty achievable events. Like you will get to encounter them either on the common side or the rare side. So this is where these equipments, they are quite easily accessible as long as you go into these maps. So the 3 branches come from the intermediary tree over here. Okay, so you're able to farm for all these branches. So all the different versions of the branches comes from different rarity events. So these are the events to look out for. And then moving back, we go back into the game. So other than this helmet, the other equipments in this category, I think to a certain extent can also benefit Narja. So when a card is exhausted, if you combo Narja with Chizuru's basic attack build exhausts the basic attack card. So this will help you get this condition done pretty easily for the additional damage boost. And all the other equipments that has, when a card is exhausted, you can combo with your Chizuru basic attack deck. So another equipment which is really good, Regenerative Rib Cage for more HP, so you can actually heal more. And then we have Eye of the Eyeless, which is good for the basic attack decks for Chizuru or even Maylin in general. So yeah, this dungeon is also pretty good. So other equipments, all those with the exhaustible effect can work with Chizuru decks, which is a really good partner for the basic attack deck for Narja. Additionally, you can build Narja both defensively and offensively in this dungeon because of the wide array of equipments, both on the DPS side as well as the support side. So this is a good dungeon to farm. For Twin Star Shadow right here, there are some equipments which are okay for Narja. Like one would be the Whip of Lepidus. I don't know whether, I think I butchered the name. So Lepidola's Whip. Yeah, so this one increases the attack card damage amount by 25. But personally, I won't actually farm here because if you're hunting for this equipment, Lab Zero has a much better equipment which is also accessible. So it's known as the Chimera Knight. So if you go back into this one, okay, we go back into this. So if you go into Lab Zero right here, Lab Zero, if you enter the Heart of the Orvane event over here, you have access to Chimera Knight, which gives you plus 35% whenever you draw. So it's quite easily achievable as long as you have some sort of draw on Narja, either through Confiscation or through the other draw cards for the controller side of things, which you kind of want on Narja. So if you want to farm for a good DPS equipment, Chimera Knight is actually better than the Whip. So generally speaking, the best worlds to farm would be Lab Zero, Photo Ruin, Swamp of Judgment, City of Mist equipment-wise. Okay, so that's for the different maps. So Photo Ruins is also really good because if we take a look at the equipments for Photo Ruins right here, go into Photo Ruins. So for the Photo Ruins side, some of the equipments which are insanely good for Narja. Number one, right, Rune Lens. So Rune Lens allows you to get plus 25% damage amount, shield gain as well as healing after using 5 or more action points. So after you consume 5 or more action points, the buff will be permanent. So the damage amount boosts up the DPS of Narja and the healing amount boosts up the healing from your other sources like Heal Time or your unique Heal Time Heal upgrade or even from like whatever healing cards you want to stuff on Narja. So this is a very good equipment for Narja. You also have Trumpet of Revelation, so you can go for multiple draws and you can get this additional damage boost. There's also the Singing Sword over here. So this additional attack, whatever attack, even though it's not the most optimal for Narja, being a defense-based carry, helps with boosting damage. So these are the few equipments to look out for in Photo Ruins. Additionally, they have Corrupted Core, so this is one of the massive defense boost equipment with the Retain Shield. So helps with survival, boosts up the defense, giving you more heal and more DPS. And there's also the Shield Gain and also the Eye of Punisher, which is good for the DPS no matter what situation. So generally speaking, I think the best tree over here will be this tree. Okay, this two, Blue Pot is a bit challenging without that many good equipments. Twin Stars have some good equipments for her, but you have better options in Lab 0 as well. So it'll be this 3 plus Lab 0 for the farming of Narja for or her team in general. Okay, so next part, we will talk about the different events you want to look out for across the different worlds. So for today's focus, we'll talk about Swamp of Judgment, City of Mist, as well as Photo Ruins. We will not be talking about Lab 0 because we did a Lab 0 guide for Cassius as well as Selena previously. So most of the stuff, they are still highly similar. So visit that video, which I'll link in the card above. So yeah, we're gonna just avoid this for today's discussion. We'll talk about this tree. So starting off with City of Mist. First of all, card removal events, they are not a must encounter for Narja or Narja teams in general if you're farming, because Narja herself has a lot of unique cards within her epiphanies, which makes duplication really easy. So you don't have to rely as much on card removal to increase the chance on duplicating the correct cards. So that's one thing which I think Narja does really well. So these are some of the card removal events from City of Mist you want to look out for. But for Nimbless Rift, most of the time you're here for the copy event. And then for Residue right here, this has this ability to select one epiphany or remove one card. So depending on the situation, if let's say you reach a certain point and you don't have the epiphanies on certain cards you want duplicated, then you might want to go for this selection instead. So this card removal is good, but it is subjected to if you have the correct epiphanies. And then last but not least, for the Void Bottle right here, this is the access to Contaminated Helmet for the additional defense for Narja. So this will be a card removal or the Contaminated Helmet for Narja. So these are the few events to look out for. In terms of the card transformation side, personally, some of the card transformation, they actually go into the card removal aspect. So if you want to min-max on your card transform to removal ratio, then you can choose for the card transformation for certain cards right here. So these are the things to look out for. Personally, I think City of Mist mostly will be for the helmet as well as the flower. So there's another flower. So this card over here, Flower of Dead Soul. So this one increases your damage amount for the second attack card onwards. So this is actually good if you're running a DPS Narja as well, because Narja's main DPS will be on her 4th card. So that card allows you to actually spam it multiple times because of the low cost, and then you can benefit off that multi-hit nature of the card with this additional 20% damage. So that's with regards to this. Okay, so these are the few events to look out for. So other events, I think generally speaking, they are okay. One thing I like about City of Mist is that City of Mist has quite a few events that triggers Divine Epiphanies. So if you're farming for very specific Divine Epiphanies, like 1 AP or draw 1 or 2 vulnerabilities to the enemies, I think this dungeon is also pretty good to run Narja with the unit you want to farm. So that's for City of Mist. Swamp of Judgment right here, I think Swamp of Judgment has some of the best card removal quests because they have multiple card removal quests or missions over here. And some of these card removal quests has the ability to convert the cards as well. So this one allows you to convert one card into another card. And then you can subsequently remove it so that you have lesser penalties on the removal of your basic card. But in most cases, the remove 2 cards over here is insanely good. So these are the things that I think Swamp of Judgment is really good. Like in Swamp of Judgment, it is often the easiest to get the exact duplicates just because of how the card removal event in this map is easily achieved. So this is one thing to look out for. And then for the equipment side, I think for this part, I talked about the Forest Ass over here. The Forest Ass gives you the Verdant Shackles as well as the Day Shackles and the Night Shackles. Right, so Verdant Day and Verdant Night together with the Intermediary Tree event right here. So This one gives you the 3 branches or the ability to trigger your epiphanies on specific cards. So these are some events to look out for. Other than that, let me just run through this. Yeah, so Rule of Remembrance is the card copy and divine selection. But generally speaking, I think Swamp is the easiest to duplicate for your other units in the deck building because you have a lot of card removal. So with the unique tag of Narja as well as like an abundance of card removal events right here, you can easily get most of the time your desired duplication for certain units. And on top of that, there's a really, really strong neutral card right here. So we go into the monster card. So this monster card, Spirit Carefox, is only achievable from Swamp as well, because you have to farm from the Carefox with the 4 legs. So this will give you the chance to drop this one. But generally speaking, I wouldn't encourage including a monster card in a deck because it's 80 points. So you will be limiting a lot of the space potential for Narja, although this card is insanely good. So like you can plan around this card and then you decide how much cards to duplicate or remove from Narja's deck or even the other units deck, depending on how you want to build them up. So that's with regards to the Spirit Carefox. So that's another strength for the Swamp of Judgment. So I think, yeah, Spirit Carefox is actually this 4-legged looking monster right here. It's much bigger in a boss fight. So these are the things you want to look out for. Okay. And for the Photo Ruins, for the equipment side, the lens comes from the Revenge Play mission over here. So you get the Rune lens from this one. Okay. You also get it from this one, Revenge Play. So these are the different ways to access Rune Lens. So coming into Photo Ruins, I think Rune Lens in most cases is guaranteed because there's just so many missions to access it. So this is one thing. Heaven's Gate is the usual card duplication or card removal event from all the other worlds. And I think for this part, card removal wise, personally, I'll usually just look out for the Spring Water of Machinery as well as the latest machineries. So this one will be mostly guaranteed events because you either get this or you get this, right? Or you get like either this, or this. So quite easily achievable. But you can see that there's just way lesser card removal because Spring Water or Machinery, even though there's 3 tabs over here, they're the same event. So you either get like this one, or this one. So like there are lesser card removal. So that building wise might be a little bit tougher. But one really good event in Photo Ruin is actually this card over here. So Heavenly Judgment, this is a pretty massive damage card with 3 retribution. So in certain situations, this card could be really good as a damage dealing card to make up for even more damage for Narja or even other units. But for Narja specifically, not a card you need to hunt for. So that's with regards to Photo Ruins in terms of the card you wanna, the events you wanna go for, as well as the different card removal events that you hopefully want to encounter. So that's for this part. Okay, so for the Chaos Dungeon farming side, I think Narja is amazing for farming. Like she's one of the best unit to use for your Chaos Dungeons because her existence ensure that your team can survive through the full run. So you can get the full rewards, you can get your desired double duplications, and you can run through all the events tile to find your desired events, right? So in terms of using her as a support, pretty straightforward. It's Veronica plus Narja because Narja herself has like a lot of unique tags, right? You go for voluntary control on 4 or 5, and then you go for Domain of Veracity on 5 over here, and then you have like 4 unique cards, and then you go for this one over here. So all your special cards gonna become unique, and then you don't even need to remove her cards, and you have a very high chance of duplicating your desired cards of other units. So like that way, you just need to remove Veronica's repose. So if you are pairing her with Veronica, then you just need to remove repose as well as Kowalski and pray that Pendant is a unique tag. Right? If Pendant is not a unique tag, you can remove these 3 and then you just duplicate your desired carry cards. So this will be how I'm using Narja as a support. And on top of that, if you're farming her as a carry, then you can actually just put in Ray to give you additional damage push. Because as you're building her up as a carry, the damage scaling for this team might be a bit lacking. So Narja as a unit, I think, can scale up if you're able to get all the desired cards, such as your defense-based damage boost, as well as your desired epiphany on your shackles. So for this part, you will need Ray for a little bit of damage in the early game. And then later on, you'll use Ray for the boosting as well as her unique tags for easier duplication of your Narja desired DPS card. So this is my usual farming team and the general idea. So generally speaking, I think Narja is really flexible, especially Narja plus Veronica. Your third unit's deck build is so much easier with the two of them, and with all the different 2 times, 3 times acceleration in all the conversations, is actually much more enjoyable to farm right now, except for the Epiphany RNG in general. So yep, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.